Brace yourself for a whole video discussing Derby County and their latest transfer news. Starting off, we've got the news of Fabian Reese from Hertha BSC. We then face some news about Ephraim, who's currently playing for Austria Vienna. We've also got news relating to that of Luca Netz. And then we have news regarding Kaden Jackson and also David Datro Fofana. Now, obviously, if you have not done so already, this is the Derby Digest. We're going to be covering all of Derby County's transfer news across the course of this video. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell. But let's dive into it. This isn't just a club, it's a badge, a city, and a way of life. And you can show your pride in Derby County with official Derby County merchandise directly from Kitbag. Now, whether it's classic retro shirts that you want, or scarves or hoodies, everyday wear you can find over on Kitbag, and you can rep the Rams everywhere you go. Now, whether it's match day at Pride Park or miles away, you can wear the colours that mean everything to you. Don't just support Derby County, live it. Shop official Derby County merchandise now at Kitbag, linked down in the description. Let's start off with David Datro Fofana. Obviously, currently contracted to Chelsea, has spent the last few months out in Turkey, of which he's scored 7 goals. There's a lot of interest in this player, most notably the likes of Leicester City, LAFC, Anderlecht, and obviously Derby County. It is believed that the likes of Celtic and Royal Antwerp are also interested in a deal for the Chelsea striker. Now, obviously, when we discuss David Datro Fofana, we've got to be very open and honest about how likely this is. Now, David Datro Fofana, Chelsea want a permanent sale. It looks as if Derby County are trying to get a loan done, but if they can get a loan with option to buy at the end of the deal, I'm sure Chelsea would probably make a way to make it work. But obviously, Derby County have got to make the deal worth Chelsea's while, and even worth David Datro Fofana's while as well. Now, obviously, that is not going to be easy. Now, as we head into the next bit of transfer news, we have a move, an outgoing for Derby County, which falls by the name of Kaden Jackson. Now,
we cannot replace him. We cannot.
Now, Kaden Jackson could be heading out of Derby County this month. He played for Derby County's under-21s on Friday night, of which he was a part of that squad. Obviously didn't play for the team on Saturday, and that sort of meant that Kaden Jackson is probably on his way out the door. But it also means that Derby County are going to have to make moves in this transfer window to be able to include their squad depth. Now, if we want to know where Kaden Jackson is going, the rumoured interest comes from Wycombe Wanderers as well as MK Dons. Obviously, MK Dons have already bought in Nathaniel Mendes-Lang, Kane Wilson and Curtis Nelson from Derby County. Is Kaden Jackson going to be the next one? I think it would be a great move for Kaden Jackson personally, making that move down to League 2, in order to get a team promoted and sort of see how that one goes. But do I want Kaden Jackson to leave? Only if Derby County can bring in an option to replace him, or maybe even pull forward one of their youth academy prospects. Now, there's even more transfer news to get your eyes across. I told a lie. It is not Luca Netz. It is Fabio Sanchez. Now, there's a few clubs interested in Fabio, most notably Union Berlin, Coventry City, Derby County, and Southampton. We've got to keep an eye on Gladbach as well, because they're going to be taking a look because of Luca Netz's contract, who is expiring. That's why I got that one wrong. My apologies on that one. But it's going to be very interesting to see how this sort of progresses for Derby across the course of the next few months, because I think when you look at what Derby County needs, I think Fabio perfectly suits into that. When you look at some of the other players that have been linked as well, like Datro Fofana, I certainly think Derby County are sort of heading in the direction of having the right players on board. But ultimately, it takes time to get the right players through the door. Now, obviously, Derby County are competing with some big clubs. You look at Gladbach, Union Berlin, Southampton, Coventry. Are they going to be able to get a deal done? I think it's highly unlikely, but shall we look at the next one? Now, in terms of that next deal, who is it going to be? It falls by the name of Ephraim Nuki, I think. Can't say it right, you can correct me down in the comments. He currently plays for Austria Vienna, where his contract runs out in 2028. Now, his market value at the moment is estimated to be within the region of around €1 million, which for those of you who are in pounds, you're looking at about £800,000 to £900,000. Now, there's a lot of competition for this player. Liverpool are interested, Eintracht interested. You look at Red Bull Salzburg, Coventry, Derby, and Middlesbrough are all hoping that they can sort of make an offer to bring in this player. It will be very interesting to see how this one does do. Obviously, a sort of younger player who can jump in and hopefully make a difference in the long term. Obviously, if you look at Derby County's transfers across the course of this season and over the course of the last 12 months, really, back to last January, a lot of the deals are to sort of look at the return on investment that Derby County can get in bringing players back. Now, obviously, to sort of end off, we've got one more bit of transfer news, which falls in the name of Fabian Reese. Currently at Hertha BSC, he's being monitored by Coventry City. The other clubs that are interested are Besiktas, Derby, Norwich City and QPR. So it's probably unlikely that this deal does happen for Derby. And if I'm completely honest, all of it is probably a little bit unlikely because Derby County would have to make so many moves in order to get these players in that I just don't quite think the opportunity is there. Now, there is a couple of transfers I want to discuss off topic of those tweets that I've just discussed, because there's news regarding Jakub Vidal-Zetterstrom, there's news regarding the likes of George Ballo and things like that. Obviously, George Ballo, valued at around £1.5 million. I think he's 23 years old, left wing back from America. I think he'd be a great option for Derby County to bring in to develop on that left back position, sort of moving forward. Now, the problem with that is that Derby County don't necessarily have the space in the squad to go out and get that. Now, there has been some talk on the forum in regards to what Derby County are looking for. It sounds as if it's going to be a left back, a winger and a striker, but ultimately we are going to have to wait and see. Now, when it comes to what Derby County need to do, you're looking at players like Ryan Niambi, Kaden Jackson, Lars-Jørgen Selverson to potentially sort of drop out of the squad now. Obviously, I don't know if I just mentioned Kaden Jackson there. Obviously, Corey Blackett-Taylor is one you can probably discuss as well. And I think that's sort of where Derby County need to sort of have a conversation with those players and sort of, if we can replace them during this window, go and make that happen. Now, obviously, it's very difficult to do deals in the January window. It always has been. It probably always will be. But we are going to have to sort of hope that Derby County can get those deals done. Now, obviously, in that same regard, John Eustace isn't going to want to let players go unless replacements are already in. You look in terms of Oscar Frullo, he came in before Adams was allowed to leave. You look at Curtis Nelson, we already had Danny Bart, Dion Sanderson, Matt Clark, Sondre Langas, Fozzie can play there. So there's so many options that can fit in that position. So it's going to be interesting to sort of see how this develops. But let's just take a little run through of that transfer news. So first off, you have Fabian Reese from Hertha BC. Next up, you then have a move for Ifeni, who is also interested from Liverpool. Next up, you have the move for Fabio Di Michele, Sanchez, who is a I'm not entirely sure what club he's at, but he's at a club. Next up, you have the talk of Kaden Jackson, who could potentially be heading to NK Dons and Wickham. You then have the final move, which is David Datro Fofana, which is looking less and less likely as this video progresses. Now, obviously, if you have not done so already, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye, guys.